The following programming is sponsored by Mark J. Bernstein. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Entrepreneur, founder, author, and financial advisor, Mark Bernstein helps high-performing business owners turn their visions into reality. At March Forward, Mark and his partners and associates think out of the box to partner with their clients in regards to their visions for their lives, their businesses, and their legacies. And through his innovative work with the Forward Focus Forums, Mark connects entrepreneurs to resources that help to fuel their success. Founders Forum is a radio show and podcast where entrepreneurs share their journeys, reveal the stories behind their successes, and the lessons they've learned. Join Mark and his guests for a mix of inspiration, valuable insights, and a bit of fun. Now let's dive in.
Good morning, America. How are you? It's so nice to be here with you today on this beautiful day in Philadelphia. We're on the radio at WWDB 860 AM. And we're also, you're most likely, good chance you're listening to us on a podcast on your favorite streaming service. And we are here every week talking to founders of businesses and also sometimes founders of nonprofits. And today we'll be doing that. And I usually start out with a thought for the day, but I think I'm going to skip that today because we have a lot to talk about with our guest today, and I don't want to run out of time. So I'm going to introduce to you right now, I usually wait till after the thought for the day, Judith Creed, MACCC-SLP, who is board chair and founding member of Judith Creed Horizons for Achieving Independence, JCHAI, right?
Right.
And Judith was, and I'll be calling her Judy also, she also goes by Judy, but Judith was director speech-language pathology at Moss McGee Rehab Facility for many years until she left that field after having had 3 children, one of whom was born with a serious developmental disability. The doctors told her to put Jonah into an institution, believe it or not, because he was severely retarded and would never want to walk or talk. She didn't listen to them. She kept Jonah home and used her SLP skills, which we'll talk about what that is, and taught him herself. She then started and ran her own film production company, Dupertis
Creed
Productions. Sorry about that. I was trying to be French about it, which created TV commercials and documentaries. After about 10 years, Judith went back into the world of speech-language pathology, where she used her video knowledge and developed and got a patent for video medical device that evaluated swallowing disorders bedside instead of using barium. I've taken that back. That's a horrible test I have to take. So thank you for inventing that. Swallow Vision was Judy's second business as opposed to her medical profession, as opposed to medical professional enterprise. She licensed her patent to Pentax Corp., which then hired her to invent ENT and GI physicians' medical inventions, as well as sell medical equipment. Pentax was the camera company too, right?
That's right. It's the cameras that go up your nose and your other orifices.
Makes sense. So during that time, Judith was raising her children, all while raising her children, including she had one that needed a lot of attention, and doing volunteer philanthropy. She helped found the Linda Creed Breast Cancer Foundation, which is very, very famous around Philadelphia and I think around the country. And the Philadelphia chapter of Operation Smile, and then her legacy, which is JCHAI. That's a lot. That's why I didn't do a thought for the day, because we have a lot to talk about. So first of all, we were talking. First of all, I have to tell you how I met Judy, walking dogs in Margate on New Year's Day this past year, and she was very friendly, and she convinced me to let Arlo off the leash, because I said he'll run away, and she said, no, he'll be fine, and he was fine. She was right. She said, I could tell she had a lot of patience and a lot of sensitivity, and that I think all of that tells you about where she's come today. So I want to talk to you because we just really talked this morning about, because you've done a lot of entrepreneurial type things, and this is a show about entrepreneurs and founders, and I always wonder where that came from, and I found out. So tell me where you got that.
So it's very simple. I got it from my father. And my father was Fernand Creed, and he owned Philly Stamp and Coin Company. He was
very well known around Philadelphia.
Yeah. and in the day, collecting stamps and coins for young boys was a really big thing.
Right. I was one of them at one time.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
You collected stamps?
In fact, I'm moving, and I just found my stamp collection. I have no idea what my coin collection is.
So I remember one time I was sitting in my living room, and one of my teenage male friends came over with his book of stamps because he really wanted to buy a car. And my father patiently sat at the dining room table going over pages and pages of stamps. And then he closes them up and he looks at them and he says, you can buy yourself windshield wipers.
I had a feeling that was coming. I didn't know how he was going to say it. But
So my father was a gregarious, outgoing Frenchman. He was born in Paris, one of 13, and the whole family was business oriented. Their father was a businessman, and people thought they were a little crazy because they didn't quite Americanize, and they were loud and feisty and didn't necessarily obey the rules and the laws, but they were my idols.
But you didn't inherit any of that.
No, I no, not me. And her mother was from Russia, and my mother's father died when she was very young, and she was very quiet. So it was really my father who I idolized, and I was more like him than her in terms of my personality, which was outgoing and kind of fearless. And it made my mother very nervous. Anyway, that was me as a child growing up. I played with the boys. I was athletic, etc. And then college came, and I went to Penn State. And then my parents didn't like who I was dating, because in those days, if a Jewish girl doesn't be with a Jewish boy, they get very upset. So, of course, I wasn't with a Jewish boy. And so my Jewish friends would, on visiting day, would come and make pretend they were my boyfriend. So, but my parents finally found out, dragged me home, sent me to Temple, had me live at home where they could watch over me. So anyway, that was the kind of background I grew up with. And then I went to Stanford for graduate school, and I was a fish out of water because that's in the 60s. And marijuana hadn't even come across yet.
Right.
So they were jumping off Hoyt Tower with LSD. I didn't last long there. So I came back home, got married, and had 3 kids. And my second child had a severe disability. And as Mark mentioned, I was told that he should be put away by the chief of CHOP. In those days, you have to understand, I'm 83 now, and so
you would never know it if you saw her. Anyway,
thank you. So, that was many years ago. It was like my son now is 55. 55 years ago, that's what people did with people with disabilities. They hid them away. So there was really nothing. So I
had a cousin like that who was institutionalized her whole life and died a young person.
Yeah, because they're not given a chance to thrive.
Right.
So I worked hard on Jonah. I was a trained speech and language pathologist, and I made it my business to work with him very hard every day to prove that he was viable, that he'd become something. And he really became the focus of my life, even though it caused a lot of turmoil at home. And so I got divorced when my kids were little, and got married again and got divorced again. So my life was hectic. When Jonah
And by the way, you were raising Jonah and focusing on him because you've raised two other very successful children as well. So.
Yes. So my daughter is Jennifer Selber. She's general counsel to Governor Shapiro. And my youngest son...
She runs the largest law office in Pennsylvania.
That's right. She's head of all the Pennsylvania lawyers that work for the government.
Right.
And she's a very good manager, and she's very smart. And she's very even. She's not as volatile, let's say, as I am.
Gregarious is the word.
Well, she is gregarious. She follows rules better than I do. She's a lawyer.
Got it. Right.
And then
some lawyers follow the rules.
So she follows the rules. She's an honest one.
I understand. Right.
So then my youngest son, Jesse Selber, Dr. Jesse Selber, is a microvascular plastic surgeon who's developed robotic techniques for reconstructing breasts with minor invasiveness. And he started a whole robotic thing. So then there was Jonah in the middle of all this, who actually didn't know there was anything wrong with him, because how do people know there's something wrong with them until you tell them? So unfortunately, it's the parents' job to say, no, my dear, you'll probably never drive. No, my dear. Well, dear, you can get married if you want, but you'll have to be able to have a job and support them. Anyway, when he was 13 or 14, I sent him to a special school called Pathway School in Norristown, and that allowed him to see that it really helped him define himself. Otherwise, we didn't know what to do. So then he graduated, and there was nothing. And I remember watching the Barbara Walters show, Baba Wawa. You remember
Barbara
her?
Wawa, sure. Yeah, of course.
And she talked about something that was in Chicago for people with disabilities. So I said, Jonah, let's go. We're going on a road trip. And we went on a road trip, and we saw this place that was isolated. It was in the middle of nowhere, and it gave me the creeps. And, they had their own store, and they were bragging because these people worked behind the counter. But it wasn't where I could see my son thriving.
Right.
It was a place that you stuck them, know. So anyway, me and a group of parents got together and put an ad in the...
you say you and a group of parents got together. You got the group of parents together, I'm sure.
No, there was actually somebody else who got
really? Interesting.
The parents together. Okay. It was Jonas Stanley Steinberg, I think, who had a child older than my Jonah, who started this group. But we all knew each other because the people in Lower Merion, that's where I raised my children,
right,
who had disabilities, found each other. But there was nothing for them. So we put an ad in the paper, and are you looking for a place for your child? And like more than 100 people showed up. But like anything else, it boiled down to maybe 10 of us who did the work.
Right.
And the reason the organization's named after me is because what happened was that I became the board chair early on and raised the organization from nothing. And I had a lot of support from my husband, my third husband, Robert Schwartz.
Your current husband.
My current husband.
Right.
And so we had some support. And for a while, I mean, when we were only we had a group home. We bought a group home because that's
how long ago was this, by the way?
About 35 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So all we knew was group homes. We didn't know anything else.
Right.
So there were 6 families, and we bought a home. We went to zoning. People didn't want us in their neighborhood, and we had eggs thrown at us. It was. But then we became the best neighbors. And everybody loved us and baked us cookies and so on. And that was the beginning of JCHAI. but it languished there for a long time with this.
And that neighborhood is in
Wynwood. It was Wynwood.
Outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
People that don't know.
Right.
Interesting. This is a very good place to take a break. We're going to take a very quick break and hear a quick commercial about JCHAI, and we'll be right back on Founders Forum.
At JCHAI, there are no limits on what a person can achieve. For nearly 40 years, JCHAI has been a leader and innovator in helping adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities envision and build meaningful, independent lives. We combine a growth mindset, personalized support tailored to each person's goals, and a community of experienced professionals and peers that feels like family. Guided by their own aspirations, our members learn, build careers, volunteer, and lead, strengthening our workplaces, enriching our communities, and redefining what's possible. Whether you're seeking services, looking for dependable, dedicated employees, interested in volunteering alongside our members, or wanting to invest in a stronger, more inclusive community, we invite you to join us. Learn more at jchai.org. That's JCHAI.org.
We are back on Founders Forum. I'm Mark Bernstein, and I'm with our guest today, Judith Creed. By the way, I have to comment real quick on your last name. It's a famous name around Philadelphia because Linda Creed was your first cousin, who's I know because I came from the music business, very famous songwriter. And by the way, independently of us doing the show, I looked her up recently just to refresh on her history. Came up somewhere, I saw it. And she was quite an accomplished artist.
She wrote The Greatest Love of All.
I know. For people who don't know that, one of the biggest songs of all time.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and through her, you have a cousin who's famous in the movies, Apollo Creed. Tell that story real quick.
So, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, and Linda Creed shared baby nurses. So, and he was a consultant to the movie, and he loved Linda. And Linda was this little white Jewish girl who wrote all black music. She wrote for the Temptations and the Four Tops, and she did all. And
she was married to Epi, by the way, who was a friend of mine.
Yes. So she lived in the world of music and black artists, and that's how Cassius Clay got to know her through that. And then when he was consulting on the movie and they needed a name for Apollo, he loved Linda, so he said, I know, Creed. We'll call him Apollo Creed. So I always say he's my cousin.
That's great. That's a great story. Anyway, back to you started the community.
So we started the community with one group home, and we hired a professional and soon found that people, with developmental disabilities, when you take them out of their nuclear family and train them, they do so much more. For instance, my son Jonah, I tried to teach him to cross the street. And when I would have him look both ways, he would look up and he would look down and then forge across the street. It was terrifying. He spent 3 weeks in this group home with a professional that I hired. And in 3 weeks, he was crossing City Line Avenue by himself. And now Jonah takes transportation all over the city. He goes to work every day at Jefferson. And it's really all because of JCHAI.
What kind of work does he do, Jefferson?
So Jonah does IT work, he says. He hooks up phones and computers, and he does delivery. He's worked at Thomas Jefferson for over 30 years.
Wow.
He's been they call him the mayor there. And
the person that should have been institutionalized, according to the so-called experts.
That's right. And he goes to work every day. And that's the other thing I want to tell you, as long as we're talking about work. JCHAI now doesn't have group homes. It's not how we operate. We quickly learned that it wasn't necessary. It was overkill. And it was expensive to run. And when you have people who have to be there overnight, it's difficult to staff. So during my presidency, I said, let's try apartments. And even people in JCHAI were like, oh, no, we can't give up our group homes. And I said, I think we can. And one of the things about being an entrepreneur, Mark, is you really have to see no as the beginning of go. It sounds like a joke, but it's really true. If you listen to the no's, then you never break through. You never go to the next level.
You have
So
to
I
break through
ended up-
walls, yeah, and there are always walls, and you've got to break through them.
There are.
Yeah.
There are.
So
So
go ahead.
anyway, we started doing an apartment program at the Presidential, and it was going great, but we were only like 18 people at that point.
So is it one specific building or one floor? Or?
That's a good question. It was on many floors.
Okay.
You can't have, by government standards, you can't institutionalize people.
Right.
So they can't even be next door to each other. So they
really?
were all over the
Okay.
building. But, they took over the building. They would run around
Okay.
like a dorm.
Okay, interesting. And is that still the model today?
The model's even less restrictive than that.
Really? Okay.
So the model now is we realize that people see JCHAI as an apartment program based thing. It's not. It's services built. So we now have a model where people live wherever they want. And we have a roving group of social workers who go out and provide whatever services are necessary. It's total integration. It's total inclusion. We do not believe, like what I saw in Chicago, in separating people out and not having them part of society. That's been our model now for a long, long time.
But the individuals that live in the community obviously commune together. They
So
interact.
we keep people, we know. So anybody who comes to JCHAI gets a thorough evaluation, psychological, whatever their capabilities are. So we know their strengths and weaknesses. And every one of our people that come in gets what we call an IEP,
Right.
really. So our social workers know what their strengths
That's
and
like an
weaknesses
IEP
are.
in the school.
In the school, yeah. So our people are always training them. So they could be out, in Northeast Philly. They could be in South Philly. Our people are taking care of them. And then we have these group events at our building in Bala, and we bring people together for classes.
So your people, your staff, what do they do exactly? Are they like guides? Are they
They
counselors?
teach.
They
It's
teach.
a teaching organization.
Okay.
So we hire teachers and social workers, basically, who go out and teach the skills of daily living, how to cook, how to manage money.
Do they also organize group meetings or their classes to bring everyone together?
Yes.
Okay.
So JCHAI has a lot of group programming,
Gotcha.
has one-on-one programming,
Interesting.
and we now serve over 300 people.
That's amazing.
We started with that group home
Wow.
of 6 people.
Yeah.
We serve over 300. And what you have to remember, Mark, is that for each person that we serve, we freeing up an entire family.
Oh, yes. That's amazing.
So the parents are no longer hovering and worrying because they know they have JCHAI who's taking care.
To what extent of the disability can people come into the program? Meaning, there are some people that are very severely autistic, as an example, maybe, and it's believed that they can't function in society. Or
That's a
something.
very good question, Mark, and that's what we do to evaluate. The very, very severe are not the people that we serve, but we serve people who are lower functioning than you would imagine could be trained and learn to live independently. But we go all the way up into the very highest functioning. We have people in college that we do executive function with. So it's a large range. But there are people we will not accept. People have to be ambulatory. People have to be able to learn. We don't accept mental health as the primary diagnosis.
Right.
So but there's like 6,000 people on our waiting list. So it's not like we're running out of people because there's certain groups of people that we don't treat.
What do you have a future plan for how to accommodate those 6,000 people? I would imagine you're thinking about it, I'm sure.
We do think about it. I don't think we'll ever be able to handle 6,000 people. But
Right.
what we're doing is, so I've been board chair for like 35, 40 years now. And I have recently, as of July 1st, handed over the chairmanship. It's a big transition
wow.
for me, to John Zuckerman, who's in his 40s.
Wow.
So he's bringing in a younger group, and
Good.
he's business oriented, and I feel good. JCHAI has legs. So
That's great. Will you remain as an advisor or?
oh
on
yeah,
board?
absolutely.
Sure,
I'm not going anywhere.
By the way, I have to ask you real quick. So I say JCHAI, which is Hebrew for life, right? I'm guessing that's not an accident, or because it happens to stand for Judith Creed Horizons for Achieving Independence. Was that an accident that it worked out to JCHAI? Or
JCHAI existed before Judith Creed. That was it was Besher, that my initials, and JCHAI.
right, that means faith. Faith
Worked.
for
Yeah.
Oh, got it. Oh, really? So it just worked out that way.
It just worked out
That's
that way. It was
that's
just
very interesting.
yeah.
Real quickly, we only have about less than 2 minutes left, believe it or not. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about your legacy? Obviously, this kind of has a lot to do with it, I would think.
I think JCHAI is my legacy. When mothers come up to me and say, "You saved my life, thank you for all that you've done," I mean, that's really meaningful.
It's amazing.
So, I'm very invested in it continuing. We're starting an endowment program now.
Nice.
We have really wonderful people that run JCHAI. We have a fabulous CEO. We have a great chief of strategy. What we don't have is marketing. We don't spend money on that.
It is interesting because I see a lot of nonprofits, and I see some that are, for a long time are run by the founders, and they kind of just struggle along. And it usually changes things when they bring in professional management. But I think you did that pretty early on, didn't you?
Well, professional management was our CEO is a lawyer, and she had a brother with a disability. So she just happens to be very smart and figured things out. We never handed it over to professional management the way you're saying.
Gotcha. Well, anyway, we ran out of time, but thanks so much. It's a great story, and congratulations on all the great work you've done. Thank you for being here, Judith Creed. And thank you all for listening, and we look forward to talking to you next week on Founders Forum.
Another episode of Founders Forum on WWDB Talk Radio, and always at the Founders Forum show page at www.dbam.com. Founders Forum was brought to you in part by March Forward, LLC. We partner with entrepreneurs like you to assist in accomplishing your future vision, your life, your business, your legacy. Comprehensive wealth planning that starts with you, not a product. We hope you enjoyed your time with Founders Forum and that you found something of value to take with you throughout your day. Join us again next week for another episode of Founders Forum on WWDB 860 AM Philadelphia or on your favorite podcast streaming service. Securities offered through DFPG Investments, LLC. DFPG. Investment advisory services offered through Diversify Advisory Services, LLC. Diversify. DAS and DFPG are affiliated entities. March is unaffiliated with DAS and DFPG. Members FINRA/SIPC. The information provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be interpreted as investment advice. The views expressed are those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Diversify or DFPG.